Hello everybody, Harold Newbill, McClatchy Insurance Agency. And as you can see by the waters to the right, just because you can quench your thirst doesn't mean all of them are going to do it the same. The same goes for commercial insurance and getting a quote. How do you make sure that when you get that quote, it matches your needs, that it'll quench your thirst? Let's talk a bit about that today by going out in town, talking about a couple of different types of properties to make sure that when you go out to market, you're approaching the right companies and the right people so that you don't have to wander in the desert. You can quench that thirst today. Let's get out in town and check it out. So we're here downtown Sacramento on the corner of 18th and Capitol in the Handle District. Behind me is a Victorian that was built in the late 1800s. It obviously, as you can see, has a lot of really unique features. It's also in a historic district. The replacement cost you would use on a building like this and the coverages it needs include building ordinance, liability like any building, but also making sure that you consider the contents and unique features that it has. This building, for example, is sprinklered. Also looking at condition. A lot of money has been spent on many of the buildings down here, and this is certainly no exception. Something like this, in this good a shape, you want to make sure that that company is going to give you that additional room and replacement cost and address in a claim how are they going to handle it. So those are a couple of features of just this building. Let's take a look at a couple of other buildings down here at 18th and Capitol and talk about their features and things you should consider. So let's go to the next one. Take a look at this building here at 18th and Capitol. That's a restaurant, Portofino. Used to be Java City for those who might have been in Sacramento a long time. This building here has a lot of unique features too. It's used as a restaurant. If you own the building and a new tenant's moving in, you probably own the refrigerators and the other cooking equipment. Is that adequately covered? You want to make sure every agent has all of that information so that you're getting the same quotes every time. Remember, electrical, roof, plumbing, as well as special equipment are things that every company wants to know. When did you update it? What did you do? It doesn't necessarily have to be a real long story, but the more information you give every single agent, for an independent agent like myself, the more options I may have for you to get you that best value. So we've talked a little bit about Victorians, and we've talked about older buildings that are commercial, like this one here. Let's take a look at a newer building, also on the corner of 18th and Capitol. Let's go. So here we have brand new construction. These are super popular in the last couple of years in Midtown, downtown, as infill is adding a lot of residential property. But no matter where it's built, these properties are as unique as the older properties, but in many ways they have it easier. They're sprinklered, they have smart home technologies that include alarms, heaters, and other features that shut off water if there is a water pipe break. They also are not built of the same expensive materials that Victorians or masonry buildings often are. In all of these, have you seen a replacement cost estimate? Is it a number you're satisfied? Maybe you even built the building or know the contractor that did, and they can tell you what it costs them to build it. If there's a loss, that's not the time you want to ask the question if you have enough. Kind of like a parachute. You don't want to find out you got too little once you have to bail out. So while we're standing over here behind one of the buildings, thank you for the owner to let us use it, we have the electrical panels over here and AC. So if you look at these sorts of things, these are ones you want to consider, because if it's old and there were a loss, you may have to replace it. You even want to look at something called equipment breakdown coverage, which may cover if this fails, not due to wear and tear, but if a power surge were to destroy it or something of that nature, this might be something you can get coverage for. You definitely want to make sure you'll ask. You also have an alarm bell in the electrical panel. Remember that with electrical panels, Zinsco and Federal Pacific are panels that are a problem for many insurance companies. If they find them, the expectation will be that you're going to replace those panels within about 90 days or get canceled. So make sure you're sharing with your agent the panels, whether they're glass fuses, knob and tube. If you know, at least you're going to place it right. So let's go look at a few more features before we wrap up this video. There's your fire sprinklering. You've got some alarm features over here, and you also have lighting. And again, companies are asking these questions, and all too often, if the agent hasn't inspected the property, they're just guessing. Sometimes those guesses can come back later in loss control recommendations and recommendations that are more like requests to change things. So make sure you're aware of those things. So these are normal things that you see in housing a lot, and especially on older buildings. These railings here are an example of railings need to be, for most companies, at least 5 feet high, especially if you have a pool. The pool gates need to be self-latching, and you want to make sure that the spacing between rails isn't greater than 4 inches. Now that's not to say you can't write it, but you should know that because a lot of companies are going to inspect. As we go down here, you can see bars on the windows, you can see AC units out here, plumbing under there and electrical. Where the dumpster is at, all of these things, they might seem small, but especially for bars on the windows, they need to be breakaway. Are they? Have you checked? If you have a property manager looking at a lot of these things, they may already know. But you want to make sure that you've considered those sorts of things, especially in residential housing. These are things insurance companies are going to look at when they come visit your property. So as we wrap up downtown, remember what we talked about. Replacement costs should be the same on all your quotes or close. Is that enough to build your building? Is it a historical property? Are the features things that help you? Do they limit you? Things like railings, smoke detectors, are they hardwired? Electrical updates. Do you have some of those panels we talked about, those Zinscos or Federal Pacifics? If you tell all your agents the same thing, you're gonna get a quote that 90 days later you're not gonna have to replace, that pricing's gonna be solid, and you're not gonna have a lot of surprises. So we're back in the office, and I wanted to kind of just make sure we highlighted the things we had talked about. When comparing your property, make sure that you've checked with the assessor, that you got the square footage right for every single quote. In all cases, they're comparing the replacement cost to how big the property is. So you want to make sure that those who are quoting it, be they a Farmers or an Allstate or an independent agency like us, are all operating off the same size and features. Features such as roof, age of the roof, air conditioning, electrical panels, which remember we talked about Zinscos and Federal Pacific, can be a real big deal, as well as whatever contents or other features go with your building to make sure that every single market is comparing the same features so that when you're looking at those quotes, you're not looking at different styles here. Instead, this is the right fit and right size for you, and you get the same bottles of water to quench your thirst. So thank you very much for watching today. I hope you found this video informative. Don't forget to smash the like button below, subscribe to our videos. We love your feedback, love your comments, and if there's a question that you would like answered about insurance that you think we can help you with, please post it in the comments below or find us online at McClatchyINS.com. Email me, my name is Harold. Looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.